Hello, I'm David, this is Hobby Jackal, and we're getting an updated look at the Dawnbringer Crusades, the fully redesigned army that's going to be replacing the Cities of Sigmar. Let's check it out! So here we are on Warhammer Community, it's the 16th of September 2022, and here's the article. Dawnbringer previews your first look at the arsenal of the Cities of Sigmar. And here we can see the symbol that represents the army, it's known as the coin Malleus. And in the lore, it's common for Dawnbringers to accept this sacred coin as a covenant of their service, and kind of like a talisman. If they misplace it or barter it away, that's a hanging offence. Right, so let's skip down to the good stuff and then I'll read my way through some of the article content. So here we get some artwork that we have seen before, and here we are. Here are some new weapons. So just to refresh and cover some of the content that's mentioned at the very start of this article, the Cities of Sigmar represent the common folk in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And in the article they describe them as the faction who put mortal back into the mortal realms. They're described as the humans, the elves and the Dwarden of the three cities who make up the bulk of Sigmar's faithful. They note that earlier this year they offered up the first glance, and just for reference that was back in May, showing off some accessories emblazoned with the God King's names and initials. So in the previous article they did sort of hint that it's going to be a human heavy army, and whether that's 100% correct and whether Warhammer Community have a good steer at that point so early in the project, we don't know. But whilst there are elves and dwarves quite well represented in the Cities of Sigmar army as it currently stands, there are very few mortal humans scattered across the other armies, particularly if you just look away from the Chaos Forces. So it's certainly my hope that humans will continue to form the bulk of this army, and that certainly appears to be true when we're looking at these weapons. And there are some interesting motifs carried throughout, so you can see this kind of almost floral motif that did appear on some items in the last preview. Just in these, it's here, here, and here. As well as these kind of bolts that are appearing throughout. Skulls, you know, it's Warhammer, they're going to be there. And the twin-tailed comet, as well as an S representing Sigmar. So they go on to show some more, and they note that the Dawnbringer Crusades are Sigmar's grand push back into the lost regions of the mortal realms. They're there to found new settlements. Each expedition is spearheaded by a contingent of soldiers armed with hardened steel, behind which trails a caravan of colonists, supplies, beasts of burden, and prefabricated buildings. If it all goes well, these soldiers will be able to join in and settle peacefully too. And it does note if it all goes well. So back in the core rulebook, they actually have quite a lot of background for these folk, and they mention it's like 1 in a dozen that's successful. Everybody else just dies horribly, and these are not small crusades. And there's some fantastic artwork that captures the scale of this, with prefabricated buildings floating along on these massive islands of rock, known as metaliths. So they note in the article, these shattered realms are beset with horrors, raiders, and unfriendly fauna or flora, but an honest cutting edge or spiked maul is just as good as the lightning-wrought divine weapons as the Stormcast Eternals, probably in a pinch. So we're seeing these motifs continuing, and here there's kind of almost like a clawed paw, which looks a little bit like the demigryphs that we've seen in Cities of Sigmar and similar creatures for the Stormcast. Here's an entire skull, again, very Warhammer, and here's a Warhammer, equally Warhammer. Interesting to see the mace appearing a second time here. And the other notable thing about this image in particular is the heavily armed hands. So these are almost, they look like full plate. I guess they're going to be the new Cities of Sigmar equivalent of the Rootsguard. It's going to be interesting to see some updated human-sized units next to those fancy Stormcast. And here's probably my favourite bit, the coolest bit, in my opinion. We've got some black powder weapons here, so they note, although rare and unreliable, gunpowder weaponry is also available for those who'd rather keep their distance. From intricate flintlock pistols that can shoot through the breastplate of a hobgrot slitter at 40 paces, to an ingeniously brutal combination of pike and man-portable cannon. I mean, look at this thing, it's ridiculous, but it's also kind of great, and I quite like the gloves that we're seeing on these guys. So I imagine there's going to be some kind of a stand here, which will be kind of like the design on the Hochland long rifle that you currently get in the Free Guild. I'm not sure if it's still called that. I imagine it's not called that anymore, because Hochland doesn't exist. That was in the world that was, but we got some fancy Age of Sigmar name. Look at this pistol, there's the cool flintlock there of some kind of animal, almost looks like a dragon's head potentially. I love it. So finally they note that this brief look at the Cities of Sigmar armory is all we have for now. 4 releases are way off, and they won't be embarking this year. We do know that, and we have seen the roadmap of releases for this year. So what do you think? I bloody love them. I'm really excited about this release. I mean, I really like the Free Guild. I've got a load of mostly painted units that were going to form a Free Guild army, which was focused around Avaland from the old Empire army, which is a yellow and black uniform. And then they did turn into nearly a Warcry warband, but I keep on getting distracted by things. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've spotted anything else that I've missed, please do feel free to add something in the comments, and catch you in my next video. Take care. Cheers.